as of 5:35 Mountain Standard Time p.m. Apologies to those who are waiting on the line for the delayed start. I would respectfully ask everyone attending this meeting to please mute yourself unless you are recognized to speak. Thank you for joining us this evening. Please note that until further notice, the official meetings of the RTD Board of Directors are continuing to be held remotely via Zoom and will be audio and video recorded. The meeting recordings, along with the unofficial meeting minutes, will be posted as soon as practicable on the board's website. Please visit rtd-denver.com, and a live stream of this meeting is also available via RTD's YouTube page. Directors and members of staff, for the sake of the record this evening, if you would like to be acknowledged during the proceedings, I would ask that you please raise your virtual hand and wait for me to call upon you before proceeding to speak. Any directors and staff participating by phone can also raise their virtual hands to indicate that they would like to speak by pressing *9. To toggle the mute settings on your phone, you can press *6. I'll now go ahead and call for the roll of committee members, starting with Director Catlin.
Here.
Director Deschel is absent this evening. He's been in touch with me on this. Chair Geisinger, Board Chair Geisinger.
I'm here, thanks.
Timing. Director Guzman.
Present.
I believe that was here off the. Director Harwick.
Here.
Director Tisdale.
Present.
And I am present. That is 6 committee members present and 0 absent. For the sake of the record, I also see that we are joined here by Directors Whitmore, Director Broom, and Director Sloan. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to start this evening with the selection of chair and vice chair for the 2023 year. As I am the committee chair from last year, I will facilitate this election, and once both seats are filled, I will turn over the meeting to the new committee chair. Unlike the executive committee election process, which uses secret ballots for the election of board officers, the committee leadership appointments, we will be proceeding with open nominations, discussion, and then a vote by the full committee. We will begin with the selection of the chair, and then we will move on to the selection of the vice chair. We will allow up to 3 minutes for those board members who would like to nominate a candidate, for those seconding nominations, if any, and any other members who wish to speak regarding the candidates. I will then call for a vote, and the candidate with the most votes will be appointed. If only one director is nominated by the committee, we will instead proceed by acclamation, and that director will then be appointed. So we're going to go ahead and start with the committee chair, and I will open up for nominations. At this point, I'll actually exercise my privilege here as overseeing the proceedings to make the first nomination. I would like to nominate Director Tisdale for committee chair this year. I think it's no secret to anybody here that I have felt very strongly that we need to revisit the funding structure of RTD and transit in general, as the needs between local and regional service are increasingly divergent and increasingly challenging to manage with the current structure as this continues to grow. So as I look at this committee here, which I was so privileged to have the opportunity to chair last year, I think it's important that we have a very thoughtful, collaborative leader with experience in public finance and with the experience to collaborate and partner with other agencies, with other municipalities. For those of you that may not know, Director Tisdale has been serving on this board for 6 years now. In addition, I think many of us are aware of Director Tisdale's service to APTA on their board. Not only is he serving as the Transit Board Member Committee Chair, but he also has experience on the Executive Committee as a member of the board of APTA, and most notably in this case, experience on the Finance Committee. Director Tisdale also had the highly accountable role when it comes to public finance of owning a budget as mayor, and the ultimate accountable role in this area of Cherry Hills Village. He also served as the Executive Vice President for Economic Development at the South Metro Mayor Chamber. And then also he had served on the Executive Committee at DRCOG, where he was a board member for, I believe, 15 years. So as I think about this committee and what we need, I come back to the fact that we really need that public finance experience, ideally with accountability. I think that we need good board strong experience in terms of leading a well-structured manner, well-structured meeting that is inclusive to all ideas and well-structured. And I believe that we need somebody who has a track record of partnering with outside agencies and groups. So while it has been my distinct honor to serve as committee chair last year, it is my distinct honor to nominate Director Tisdale. With that, are there any seconds to this nomination?
I'm very happy to second the nomination. And having served as chair of the committee the year before last and then vice chair this past year, I think that Director Tisdale's leadership would, although I very much appreciated Director Davidson's leadership, I think having Director Tisdale in would be a benefit to this agency.
Thank you, Director Catlin. Are there other nominations for the position of committee chair for finance and planning? Great. Well, with no other nominations, I'm going to go ahead and suggest that we proceed with acclamation of Director Tisdale as chair of this committee. I will go ahead and at this point ask if there are any no votes on the acclamation. Seeing none, congratulations, new Finance and Planning Committee Chair Tisdale. I will go ahead and continue the meeting and hand off to you in a moment. Thank you for stepping up and serving here. And go ahead, please, sir.
No, I was just anticipating your next comments and in line.
Okay, well, I will now ask for nominations for vice chair of this Finance and Planning Committee. And seeing as your hand is up, Committee Chair Tisdale, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to speak now and to recommend and nominate that Eric Davidson, the past committee chair for this committee, assume the role of vice chair. I think the continuity that is presented by virtue of Director Davidson's continuing role in the leadership of the Finance and Planning Committee is critical to its careful stewardship of the RTD, and also to give him an opportunity to have a meaningful and substantive role in partnership with me as chair to make sure that we do explore the other financing opportunities that can be made available to RTD. So in acknowledgement and appreciation of his tremendous service over the past year as the chair of this committee, I am honored and privileged to nominate Eric Davidson to serve as the vice chair of the Finance and Planning Committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Director Tisdale. Much appreciated. Any second?
I will second the nomination with the and to let Director Tisdale know that as vice chair of the committee, you could not ask for a better support and better assistance in this operations of this committee. When he was my vice chair, it was an extraordinary team. So congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. We'll see first, are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? This is awkward, but following the process that I'm overseeing the proceedings of the election, I'll go ahead and recommend that we move forward with acclamation. Are there any no votes to myself serving as the vice chair of this committee. All right, seeing none, that is 6-4, 1 absent. Thank you very much sincerely to this team and to my fellow board members for entrusting me to chair this committee last year. It was a very special opportunity, and thank you very much for the opportunity to continue serving this committee as its vice chair. With that, I would again like to congratulate Finance and Planning Committee Chair Tisdale, and now that my election duties are complete, I will go ahead and ask Committee Chair Tisdale to take over for the rest of tonight's meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate again your service in the past and look forward to your continued stellar service in the future. The first business that we have before us this evening is, as with every committee meeting and board meeting, and that's public comment. So we would now like to open this meeting to public comment to anyone who would like to address the committee regarding any topic that is listed in the published meeting agenda for the current month and also for the immediately preceding month. If you do wish to speak, please either raise your virtual hand here in the Zoom conference, or if you're on your telephone, please feel free to press *9. Staff will unmute you when it is your turn to speak. And if you are dialed in, you simply press *6 to toggle your mute settings. Please bear in mind that by participating in this process, you are consenting to being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, then your comments will need to be submitted to us in writing. And if any speaker has any documentation or reference materials that they would like to submit to the committee, or if any member of the public would like to submit written comments, please feel free to email those materials to the RTD board office at the following email address. It's rtd.boardoffice@rtd-denver.com. Now, during public comment, please be advised that the committee will not be offering any comments or responses to whatever is said. Directors or staff may contact speakers following their comments if they raise matters that might lend themselves to some sort of follow-up. Speakers should begin their remarks by stating their names, and then each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Let me now inquire of the board office if we have anyone who has indicated a desire to speak during this public comment session.
Hi, Committee Chair Tisdale. No, there are no hands raised and there were no emails either.
All right, so we know that we have no persons present who have raised their hands and no persons who have emailed comments. And just a reminder, if you do in the future wish to make a comment, you can do it by way of an email to the email address I gave earlier. So with no participants in the queue, we are now closing the public comment period at this time. Our next order of business under our agenda is information from external entities, when we provide an opportunity and a forum for external entities that have relations with RTD to bring matters forward for our attention. I am informed that there is no information submission from any external entities this month. Let me confirm with board staff. Are you aware of any external entities who have expressed a desire to speak at this time?
No, there are none.
Thank you. If you look at the published agenda, you'll see that there is one recommended action that was published on the agenda this evening. It is my understanding that there has been a change in that. And so at this time, let me inquire of our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Doug McLeod, whether in fact the recommended action item is proceeding or whether you wish to have that item pulled from this agenda at this time.
Thank you, Chair Tisdale. This is Doug McLeod, Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to congratulate you and Eric Davidson as Vice Chair to this committee and look forward to working with you. I'd also like to express staff's appreciation for all the service that Peggy offered to this committee. Very helpful over the years, so much appreciated. Mr. Chair, this action item, yes, we would like to offer up to have this agenda item pulled from this agenda and moved to the February agenda for the Finance and Planning Committee.
All right, fine. Then it is the staff's prerogative with the chair's approval and the committee's consent to pull the item and to reschedule it. So then we will look forward to having this item return on the February agenda. Is that correct, Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let it be so. Then we have one discussion item on the agenda for this evening, and that discussion item is the A-line naming rights opportunity. And this will be an opportunity for us to hear, and I think perhaps for the first time, certainly for this committee, but I don't know that he spoke at the board meeting last week either, our new Chief Communications and Engagement Officer, Stuart Summers, to present this item. So, Mr. Summers, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to be with all of you this evening. My name is Stuart Summers, and as mentioned, I am the Chief Communications and Engagement Officer here at RTD. And I'm here before you this evening to provide an update about the A-line naming rights opportunity. In an October 2022 memo to the Board of Directors, GM and CEO Deborah Johnson provided an update at that time about the A-line naming rights project. And as her memo stated, last fall, staff in the Communications and Engagement Department, my team, were preparing a scope of work for the procurement process. As outlined in your board materials this evening, in November 2022, the agency publicly offered an opportunity to secure the A-line's name-only asset. That solicitation closed prior to the holidays without RTD receiving any proposals. Staff believes this is due to factors outside the agency's control, including the scope of the opportunity in relation to an existing contract and the timing of the solicitation with end-of-the-year corporate advertising budgets already being set and the busy holiday season. Given the high visibility of the A-line and its immense value to the region, we know this opportunity is valuable. It's an exciting opportunity. RTD staff have also spent the last couple of months establishing a transparent framework and workflow that will best support the upcoming solicitation process. We are excited to move forward with this opportunity to once again name the A-line. RTD has an open, defensible, and competitive solicitation process that will be utilized. The process is available to any business or entity with the interest and the means. Additionally, if members of this board are aware of entities or companies that may have interest in the naming opportunity, please encourage them to register on RTD's website to be included in the solicitation. As with any solicitation, also our small business office within the Division of Civil Rights will set a participation goal to ensure there are opportunities for disadvantaged businesses to explore. Additionally, the communications team will make sure the solicitation process is widely publicized and shared to generate interest. Staff previously also received a question about risk and liability in regards to the naming rights. And as with any third-party contract, RTD ensures that the brand will be represented in the best possible light, which will be captured in contractual language. As a final update this evening, the next steps are to re-advertise this opportunity in the second quarter of 2023. RTD staff will work to ensure the public solicitation process is well promoted and that it reflects the significant benefit that the A-line naming rights agreement would represent to an interested external entity. Also, a contract resulting from the A-line naming solicitation process would require board approval, and a future recommended action will be presented to the committee's consideration and subsequently the full board. Thank you, and that concludes my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Summers. We appreciate your comments and the update on this. Let me ask now, are there any directors who have comments or questions relative to this item? First, I'll ask for directors from the committee, and then, of course, any other directors who are present on this call may also speak. But first, I will recognize Director Guzman. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just want to give kudos to Executive Summers for speaking to the opportunity to have some options for diverse businesses looking at this opportunity, and wanted to say thank you for answering a question I had premeditated for this meeting. So I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you, and we appreciate your participation as well, Director Guzman, knowing you have a conflict you're about to enter into here shortly. Other members of the committee who have questions or comments relative to this discussion item? Seeing none, are there any non-members of the committee who are directors who would like to ask a question or make a comment at this time? I don't see any hands raised or indication of desire to do that. I will add that this is obviously an extremely valuable asset. We know that it is worth at least $1 million a year. And it will be very good for us to get a replacement contract in as soon as possible to replace the contract that expired last June. So we're happy to see staff proceed with this, and we wish you all good speed in getting that done and put in place. Any further comments or discussion on this discussion item based upon my comments or anything else that may have come to your mind? Hearing none, we will then turn to other matters, and I will ask, are there any other matters that any committee member wishes to bring forward to the Finance and Planning Committee at this time? I will now recognize immediate past Vice Chair Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to remind directors that tomorrow will be the kickoff meeting for our audit committee. And last year's board approved the membership of the audit committee to have 3 board members and 2 external experts in audit. And so that meeting will take place at 2 o'clock tomorrow. And since it is publicly noticed and there are 3 directors representing RTD on that committee, it is open to the public. And we will be kicking it off and then proceeding with meetings, probably about 5 a year. But we're pretty excited to finally get going on this important endeavor. I don't know, Director Davidson, do you have anything to add to that announcement? Okay, I just
Not on that matter, thank you.
It's been such a long haul, and audit used to be under this committee, but it's been such a words, I really can't find the words to explain it, but to finally have this in place and get going, I think the 3 RTD directors on the committee are really chomping at the bit to get going and to start producing some results. And Ruben Brown, our outside consultants, are anxious to get going as well. So just wanted to give that announcement.
Thank you very much for your comments on that, Director Catlin. It is really an incredible endeavor that has taken about 12 years to get to this point, beginning with the state audit back in 2010 recommending this. So it is a labor of love for many of you. Your extremely valuable efforts and insights, along with Director Davidson, have been outstanding in having that come about. So we thank you. Director Davidson, you are now recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for indulging me. I'll keep this brief, but thank you, Mr. McLeod, for acknowledging the leadership of Director Catlin here. I'd be remiss if I didn't end the night by thanking Director Catlin. When I came on as vice chair to this committee, Director Catlin was chairing it. Audit was actually part of finance. We've gone through a change in committee structure. When I had the opportunity to chair, Director Catlin was vice chair, and just would personally like to thank her for the help, the collaboration, the teamwork to get to where we are on a number of items. And also, I'd be remiss not to thank from this past year as chair, Ms. Johnson, Mr. McLeod, and the entire finance team. I don't want to risk leaving folks out. So it would just extend my gratitude to the whole team. A lot of creative things last year, especially while interest rates were low. Some excellent work, some creative work, a lot of hustle, and just have tremendous respect for what our team did. And thank you for engaging with us, with this committee, with me last year. I look forward to the work ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. And are there any other directors who wish to speak on any other matters? I have a couple of closeout comments. Hearing no other directors, then let me piggyback on the comments of Committee Vice Chair Davidson to thank former Chair and Vice Chair of this committee, Director Catlin, our first Vice Chair of the RTD Board, for all of her tremendous continuing service, and we look forward to continuing to have your great skill and expertise added to our endeavors. Let me also express genuine and sincere thanks and appreciation to the members of committee for bestowing confidence in me, in electing me as your chair. I greatly appreciate that and pledge to serve you well in that regard. And then finally, I want to close out with a note that during the session, as we were waiting to come into the open session, we always have a practice session to test microphones and cameras and ensure that things are working. And during the course of that discussion, at least 5 of the directors that you see on screen before you right now have used the RTD in just the past 24 hours. So this is a board of directors who use what they govern. I think the record should reflect that. Is there any further business to come before the committee before I announce our next meeting date? Seeing no one indicating a desire to speak, I will announce that our next meeting date will be, get ready for it, Tuesday, February 14, 2023. Yes, Valentine's Day, we will spend in the Finance and Planning Committee meeting commencing at 5:30 p.m. I suppose if we know what's good for us, we will keep it a very focused and tight meeting. Hearing no other business and seeing no other discussion items presented before us, I will announce that at 6:06 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we now adjourn our meeting. And I thank you all very much for your participation. Have a most pleasant